Hi, this is Timmie for OutOfThisBinary. I'm making this video on a Friday afternoon. I'm in my car right now because I feel like the lighting in my room is kind of bad. I have a light bulb that's out, so that's why I'm here. My Friday's been going pretty good so far. I'm kind of in hell week with finals. Tonight I have a concert that I'm performing in. I'm playing some saxophone for the concert band and I'm conducting a piece, so I'm super excited for that. And I apologize for all the car noises right now. Yeah. So as you all know, the subject of this week is honorifics, and we got this subject from someone that posted on our Tumblr. So I was just going to read what this person posted. So this person said, in my job, I had to call customers a polite honorific, either sir or ma'am. How could someone who has to follow this rule be more gender inclusive? I can't think of another title to use to greet customers, particularly older ones. I thought of friend or something, but it doesn't feel respectful enough compared to sir/ma'am, particularly towards elders. I'd be interested to hear any suggestions and thoughts you have about this topic. Alright, so my immediate response when I saw that post, I'm not sure if this is like a policy or a rule for your workplace. I'm also really not sure where you're working at or like what area of the country you're in. But my approach I would take, if you feel comfortable and able to, like you feel like you would be able to do this, I would talk to the boss about the policy and bring it up to your boss and ask them about what you should do. Um, and something I would propose to the boss, I feel like the best case scenario, honestly, me personally, I would be one that would want to do away with the rule, and I would want to replace it with more just polite phrases and, just polite gestures and smiles, like, thank you, have a great day. Um, and like I would provide a rationale for doing this and maybe also provide sources. And one rationale I always have for gender inclusive language is that it is not asking for special attention. It is just all about manners and being polite. And one phrase I often go back to is that if there's a trans or non-binary person on their best day, even being misgendered or having an honorific that doesn't suit them, there's always going to be a feeling of being negated, even on, a trans or non-binary person's best day. And on a worst day, a wrong being misgendered or a wrong honorific can lead to struggles with dissociation. That's just a very straightforward rationale I often like to provide when advocating for gender inclusive language. So that would really be my approach, is to ask the boss to do away with the rule and explain why. If you feel like that might be too much and too much to ask, an alternative that you could propose to your boss or whoever's in charge of making this rule is ask to do away with the rule for folks that and customers that appear to be just gender ambiguous, and just try to pick up on those signs. And I will admit that that might be kind of problematic because you can't really assume someone's identity from how they're expressing themselves. Um, um, with that being said, if you are interacting with them long term, like one of these customers that might appear gender ambiguous or whatnot, you could consider asking if you're having like a long term interaction with them. You feel like you could have the time to address them by something else. And if you're gonna take this alternative to like doing away with the rule for those you're not sure if they're a sir or ma'am, you could look into addressing them with specific alternative titles. I know that on some of the videos we've already posted, we talked about the title mix or mixture, which is a mix of Mr. and Mrs. and Miss. I feel like, as Pow Pow said, I feel like mix looks really good on paper, but when I hear people actually like say that, I kind of have weird feelings about that moniker. So there's one option for you. You could also call them friend, you can call them buddy, pal, guest, or even fellow customer. Those were just a few I came up with. Let's see what I else. What is that? Let's see what else I have here. So I noticed that in your post, like, your biggest concern was just like, a lot of the reason we have this rule is to be more, like, to be more polite to elders because they still really have that rule affirmed with them, like sir or ma'am. So I understand like where the boss can be coming from with that for like wanting to keep that rule. Um, but with that being said, I still feel like it's really worth talking to your boss if you feel comfortable and feel like your boss would understand. So just to put a little insight into like my situation with managing monikers, for one thing, I'm living in Tacoma right now, and I can just tell you, as far as customer service has gone, I've pretty much worked in I've worked in food service for customer service, and then other part-time jobs. I worked at a summer camp once, but within those jobs, I feel lucky in that I've never had a job that actually has required me to do that. And I even worked in Idaho for a pizza place, and they didn't really require me to do that either. So I've never actually like ran into a problem with that. But a place that I have been working and getting a lot of experience in has been schools, and monikers are really essential for teachers. Like monikers are very important if you're going to be a school teacher. So what I've had I haven't done student teaching yet. So far, I've only done teaching observation and practicum. So I've been going to a lot of schools in the Tacoma area and observing and doing a little hands-on teaching, but I'm not actually student teaching yet. I actually just finished my practicum like 2 days ago, and next semester is when I'll have the permanent student teaching intern at Peninsula High School in Gig Harbor. But when I found out I was non-binary, I switched my monikers to teacher flock. So I don't go by Mr., Mrs., Miss, or I don't even have the students call me mix or mixture. I just go by teacher flock, and I'm just really fond of that moniker. So what I've done with this moniker, I have always approached the people that are in charge and telling them, hey, I want to go this way in front of the students, and making sure that's okay. And I've been very, very fortunate and lucky in that I have found a lot of good support about that. And I've found good support about it even in places I was kind of fearing could be problematic. I had a month's worth of practicum experience at an elementary school, and I felt very weird and kind of self-conscious about expressing myself this way in front of, like little elementary kids who, this gender thing might be kind of new for them. But I just talked about it with my teacher who I was observing for, and just kind of asked her advice on it. And she was very supportive of it. And what happened is she actually allowed me to talk to the principal about it. And it was a really good conversation. And, my biggest concern was just that I wanted, to occasionally wear dresses on some days in front of the kids. And my biggest concern in that elementary school was that I was just going to have parents like calling the principal, complaining about me and calling me, shit like you're a pervert or whatnot. But I felt very honored in how just supportive the principal and the teacher were. And the principal specifically told me that just that year, they're establishing at the elementary school a sex ed and gender identity course for fifth graders that can be optional for them to take. So that's fantastic. I'm glad it, reaches these educational institutions, and times change. So I felt very supportive with that. But my compromise. So unfortunately, I didn't really have the kids call me by they them pronouns. I didn't really enforce that upon them, but I did have them call me teacher flock, and it was what was written on the board. What I did ask, though, I asked specifically my teacher and the other person I was observing with to call me by they them pronouns. Don't enforce it upon the kids, but just have them listen to it and hear it for the first time, and don't really enforce it upon them, but just expose it slightly, just something new for them. Like, I was only there for a month, and I was being misgendered. I was being called he, him, by the elementary kids, and that was a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, I was there to just teach music, and I was there for just a small period of time, so it wasn't really important for me to try to enforce that very heavily upon the kid. I did observations at an middle school as well, and I took the same approach. I didn't really talk to the principal about it, but I was able to be called teacher flock by the teacher there, and I introduced the pronouns to the kids. I felt very awkward doing it just because they're middle schoolers and they're right in between, that high school and elementary phase, and I just didn't know what their knowledge would be of it. Um, but I felt like it was pretty much the same approach. I mean, we were playing a lot of instruments, so I felt like there wasn't really talking or using my pronouns very much. And I occasionally got misgendered by the teacher, and there's actually a student teacher at that placement as well. I got misgendered a few times by them, but like after a month of observation, they realized they were misgendering me and they actually apologized. So I was really appreciative of that. And they apologized because there was actually a middle school student that reminded the student teacher about that. And so she was really gracious about it. And I'm really appreciative of that student. Um, oh, another thing I wear they them buttons a lot when I am on the job teaching. I just wear they them just as like a signal to the kids and the teachers and just like a subtle reminder. So that's another approach I take a lot. Yeah, and that's all the thoughts I have on that subject. That was a really good post, and I really liked how you brought up just like kind of the elder dilemma and how there that's more considered polite, and part of their mannerisms is the sir ma'am thing, and you might have to talk to the boss and reach a compromise on it if you feel comfortable doing that. But it is very important to make your customers feel inclusive who might not want to go by sir or ma'am. So that's what I would do. I hope this was helpful, and um, I hope I hope I hope you're able to consider it, and it could be of help to you. So I hope all of you who are watching are having a good day. Peace out.